There are so many good people who just want to learn and sit and engage with each other.
Right.
And we're too often pulled apart by either the loudest voices in the room or the most absolutist voices. With those agreements in place, you have project certainty, you have capital market certainty, and you've done it in the private space that has trusted investor frameworks. Now, there's a really exciting opportunity with new technologies, especially in AI and also non-invasive exploration, to determine how you can explore without as many drill holes.
Welcome to the Market Frontlines. I'm Lyndsay Malchuk with Appetite reporting from Vancouver Mining Club event right here in beautiful downtown Vancouver. Now, there's a shift happening in British Columbia right now. The conversation is no longer just about what's in the ground. It's about how projects get built, who is at the table, and what real partnership looks like in a province rich in critical minerals. Joining me is someone building directly in that shift, Keerit Jutla, CEO of Invictus Metals, a company positioning itself as a BC-focused project development platform grounded in consent, in access, and execution. Keerit, it's so great to have you here. Thank you so much for sitting with me. There's so much actually I want to just dive into, and we don't have a lot of time. So let's kick it off with the very first question that I do have around this. Invictus is built on 4 core principles. Give me the quick breakdown of which one drives that decision first.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk with you here. And look, you outlined it perfectly. Like, we're in a really amazing opportunity right now. Should we choose to take it? And should those who are pragmatic about building choose to partner together?
Right.
And so those key pillars are, do you have good relationships? Is there good mineral potential? Is there a good investment capital network? And is there a good governance framework?
Right.
And one of the key things that I saw in the marketplace was, look, there's so many great people who want to build. They're just not doing it together.
Right.
So that's what the motivation behind Invictus Metals was, to build a consent-based platform where First Nations leaders, project proponents, capital markets could come together to directly build projects in the private space. And that's one of the key pieces that has been missing here is, for so long, the private sector has been building these relationships and driving project forward.
So is your company focused on private companies or public companies?
So we're focused on both. So the key first element is building a project around consent. And the key question, what does consent mean?
Yeah.
Just bringing parties together, building a good relationship, and building some type of consensus right at the beginning about even in the ethos of how we want to work together on a private sector project. Then with the folks on our team is when we can assess the geological potential of different junior projects or even tenure holders and be able to build consent agreements around those. With those agreements in place, you have project certainty, you have capital market certainty, and you've done it in the private space that has trusted investor frameworks. And I think one of the key things now, and I'm really excited to see now the federal government and provincial government amenable to this, is, hey, if the private sector can do it and get it done, use our help. Like, if we're building these consent processes, we should start accelerating these projects forward.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And, I was saying to you a little bit off camera, I had the joy of actually being in the presence of some Indigenous, very, very beautiful Indigenous leaders this past summer. And the story was very true across the board, is if you don't have that community support, you're not going to go very far. And when I travel the world and I talk to more and more companies, one of the big things I'm asking is, what is your relationship with that community? And do they actually have a seat at the table, or are you hiring them just as laborers? Because it's at the end of the day, they have been on that land for I don't even know how long. They know the ins and outs of it. And so if you want to benefit from your land that you have staked, use them. Learn from them.
I so appreciate, I can just feel the emotion there. Look, you're spot on. There are so many good people who just want to learn and sit and engage with each other.
Right.
And we're too often pulled apart by either the loudest voices in the room or the most absolutist voices in the room. And the reality is the majority of us are good people. We might be diverse in thought and worldview, but there's more that unites us than divides us. And if we're able to get in rooms together and say, look, how do we build something together? Can't control what's going on in government, but how do we do it in the private space? Just like you said, that increases your ability to build
100%.
relationships. It increases your ability to accelerate projects. And that's the conversations I've had with, activists and investment, leaders, all now kind of in the same ecosystem saying, yeah, I didn't know we could do this together.
Yeah.
There were other forces bringing us apart, but we're going to start doing it now.
I really do value the journey that you're on for sure. I'm going to flip it over here. Tell me about why this moment for consent forward development in a jurisdiction like BC, especially with critical minerals, is really heating up right now.
For almost, I bet, 5 or 6 years, there's been a lot of discussion and debate around how are we going to move forward in reconciliation? What's the pace and what's the method? One of the key issues, though, is a lot of people in the public or in industry or even in the investment community who want to move these things forward had no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And those are things we can't control. But what we can control now is, look, we might not know how governments or legislations are going to be moving forward, and those things are unstable from election to election, but we can build solid private sector institutions that are election proof, that are, uncertainty proof, to ensure that we're able to operationalize consent in a way that is relationship focused between communities, but it's also compromise focused, right? It's bringing people together in an environment where you can, determine how a shareholders agreement is set up or equity in a project. But finally, it also brings inclusion for all parties.
Okay.
Canadians, Indigenous peoples, diverse peoples, because it's how we're able to actually build something tangible. Okay. It's been a lot of talk, and now it's time to bring people together and build.
That's the truth, for sure. What do you think the biggest challenge that you're facing right now is, and how really are you navigating through that? Because, my gosh, there's a lot of education still.
Yeah. there's a lot of hurt out there. There's a lot of anger, and it's not because people are against what's going on. They were not part of the conversation.
Okay.
And I've spent, the last 2-3 years traveling in rural BC, Alberta, First Nations communities, urban centers, just talking and listening to people. And that is what it comes back to again, is I don't know what's going on, and I don't know how that impacts my future.
Okay.
So being able to go around and build that trust and say, look, we can't control what's going on in Victoria or Ottawa, but we can just come together and build. And just being able to be that bridge builder between people and communities was a key driver behind building Invicta.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. Now, technology, as you know, and lower impact exploration are part of your model. So let's go there just a little bit. How does that actually change the way projects move forward in a consent first basis?
One of the key issues that many First Nations communities have talked to me about is impacts in exploration or even mining. Now, there's a really exciting opportunity with new technologies, especially in AI and also non-invasive exploration, to determine how you can explore without as many drill holes, right?
Okay.
And that's a really important thing when you're trying to build a solid relationship with the community and build an environmentally centric project. But also it opens up a whole new capital investment space. So I've had amazing conversations with CEOs of AI firms in Silicon Valley.
Wow.
Who are saying, look, we want to work with you. Like, we want to work with Vancouver. And I keep thinking, why aren't these channels, why haven't they been opened up before in the past? So look, there's really exciting opportunities now in terms of how AI can assess old data, new data, how we explore, but not at the expense of the older ways of doing things. You still need prospectors. You still need, juniors to be able to do that tangible work. Now let's just do the work together to now harmonize these technologies.
It's such a great story. And, I'm going to bring it back to the Indigenous learnings or teachings that I had in the summertime. And, there's a lot of misinformation, we'll say, out there. And when you talk about anger and hurt, there is so much communication around, well, I was not part of that in the past. I didn't do it. Why do I have to say sorry? Why do I have to do all the things? And it's not necessarily saying sorry for things that you didn't control, but there is still such a negative narrative around it. And there's still such, I don't know the word that I'm looking for, but the story behind it is still very much uneducated. So there are things happening that are still everyday things that we do need to say, whoa, wait a second, I am actually doing those little things that I don't even realize I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And for that, and the miscommunication and the uneducation, I guess, around it,
right.
That's what I would be like, okay, this is where I need to learn and educate myself and apologize for the arrogance of it, for lack of better words. So what you're building here is it goes far past just mining and exploration. You're really building a bridge between narratives.
100%. Look, I've seen for the last 10 years where you have well-intentioned, virtue championing leaders who haven't built things, who haven't operationalized these things, who haven't brought people involved with it. And now you're seeing the backlash from it, none of which we were a part of, but now we are seeing the backlash from it. And I just couldn't sit back and let this province or this country destroy itself and said, look, if it takes building a company now that is in effect a private sector operational entity to continue that Murray Sinclair vision of how do you just bring people together? How do you sit like we're doing right now and just talk to each other to learn about histories, what is upsetting you, how you can start looking and build together? That's now the work. And truly in the private sector, I mean, that's been going on for decades to solve problems and advance things forward. And I just think now we have to take the lead here. We don't have a choice now. It's appreciate what you're saying.
Absolutely. You know, it's like any other business deal. You're going to have conversations in private first before anything goes public.
Yeah.
So this is sort of the same thing. I know we've run out of time. Thank you so much. We could totally delve into this, and I'd love to have you on the podcast. Yeah. So definitely come back soon.
And thank you. And one last thing, there's more that unites us than divides us. Like the more we're able to talk to each other, the more we're able to just, let our guards down and truly learn about each other. It may not be easy, but we have the capability to do that together.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree
So let's
more.
do it.
Give yourself a little pat on the back. Good job, Keerit. Now, the rules of this space are being rewritten in real time, and not everyone is going to keep up. I've been speaking with Keerit Jutla, CEO of Invictus Metals, trading on the venture under IVS. If you're looking at critical minerals right now and still thinking the old way, you're already behind. I'm Lyndsay Malchuk, and this is the Market Frontlines. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned. There's more coming.